like to call the Township North Huntington Board of Commissioners public hearing for Thursday, November 13th, 2025 at 6:30 PM. Roll call, Manager Falk.
Commissioner Hempel.
Here.
Commissioner Atwood.
Here.
Commissioner Gray.
Here.
Commissioner Zona.
Here.
Commissioner Bevan. Commissioner McHugh.
Here.
President Hagus.
Here, could everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. This is a public hearing being held to consider public input with respect to demolition of two properties located at. The first one is, name of owner of the property is Mark M. and Miss Jasmine, property address 7716 State Route 30, North Huntington, Pennsylvania, 15642, tax map number 54-12-07-0-100. The second property, the name of the property owner is Scott Smith and Anja Tomarello, property address 3031 Painterstown Road, North Huntington, Pennsylvania, zip code 15642, tax map number 54-05-00-0-007. The buildings located at these properties listed here have been deemed an unlawful structure, unfit for human occupancy, and a nuisance due to the property's state of disrepair per the International Property Maintenance Code 10.1.3, structure unfit for human occupancy, and 108.1.4, unlawful structure. In the event North Huntington Township orders the demolition of the structure and the site restoration per Section 10 of the ordinance number 965, all the costs associated with this process shall be the personal liability of the owner. Any expenses incurred by the township may be satisfied by placing the lien upon the said properties from the first day the cost of the build to the township. Any questions regarding the notice may be directed to the Community Development Department. Is there any residents that would like to put any input on the record? Not seeing any. Do we have any comments from our staff?
We do have some pictures and some letters that were sent that we'd like to put on record. Adam can go through them each. All the packets are the same. He could do a little description of the letter or the picture, and we will use them as exhibits. So you just do exhibit 1.
So Exhibit 1 is the letter that was sent for the condemnation of the structure, notifying the owners that the township was proceeding with condemnation. The first one for 7716 State Route 30, dated September 9th, was sent to them. Exhibit 2 for 7716 State Route 30 is a collection of pictures showing the condition of the building in various states all around. Yeah. As well as photos of all the notices we have posted, both the condemnation, hearing notices, and the place cards for condemnation. Exhibit 3 is going to be the demolition public hearing notice. That was sent on October 29th. And finally, Exhibit 4 for 7716 State Route 30 is the quote for the raising of the structure.
Was there any questions from the board regarding any of the exhibits stated in the packet for 7710 State Route 30? Okay, we'll move on to the exhibits for,
This is for 3031 Painterstown Road.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I do have a question about actually both of these. I don't see any letters in here notifying them of property maintenance issues prior to the demolition notice. Were they sent notices originally? I mean, from the paperwork, it looks like the whole process is taking place within a couple weeks.
Yes, so the, let me see here, do you have the, Jasmine? Yeah, September 9th. Yeah, so the property for Jasmine Veterinary was condemned on September 9th. This property was deemed a nuisance. We've had the police there multiple times in the last couple months. So they were given notice on September 9th, 2025 for the condemnation of the building. And then again, they were sent the public notice on September 9th, 2025, and the property was also posted. So yeah, it's been 2 months and we haven't heard a word from the owner. We've reached out to him in the past also about the condition of the building because it did catch fire back in 2021. And I don't believe he had insurance on it, so it was never fixed. And we've had people breaking in there multiple times in the last couple months they were living in there, and the police have been there, and it's been a mess.
Okay.
So yeah, it has been a rather quick process. It should have been condemned probably when the fire happened, but it was not. So yeah, it is a little bit of a quicker process.
Do we have written documentation about the incidents, the fire, the notice that it's unsafe?
Yeah, it's in police reports yeah, we didn't share the police reports though, right.
And the other one? 3031 Paintertown?
Correct.
So if we go through the evidence for Paintertown real quick, you'll see in the photos why it went straight to condemnation versus property maintenance violations. So Exhibit 1 is the letter for condemnation that was sent November 6, 2024. Exhibit 2 is a collection of photos showing all the postings as well as the condition of the building, and you can see the immediate notice that it is an unsafe structure on the verge of collapsing in on itself already. And those owners were also notified on November 6, 2024 of the condemnation. They were also notified of the public hearing as well on August 29th, or October 29th.
And we've received no response from anyone?
On the Paintertown property, we spoke with the homeowner yesterday. Her intention, she was unsure whether to attend the hearing or not, but she really didn't want anything to do with the property anymore. She was kind of letting it go for taxes. So she wasn't going to tear it down, put it that way, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And then the final exhibit for 3031 Paintertown is the landscaping with a quote for raising the structure, which is $15,250.
Thank you. Any further board questions or comments?
A quick comment. You said it on the one on the Paintertown, but the other one, these buildings cannot be rehabilitated, either one of them, correct?
I mean, I guess anything could be rehabilitated. At what price, I don't know. The Paintertown property is pretty bad. We haven't been on the inside of that one because it did collapse partially. The roof collapsed. Jasmine Veterinary, it's been burnt for 4 years now. I'm not sure exactly what the status of the inside of that one is either, but it's just been such a nuisance to the police department. To this point, something needs to be done.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other board questions or
one more.
comments? Commissioner Gray?
Have we had neighborhood complaints on the properties?
On all properties we have. Our building inspector has tried several times to get a hold of the owners of Paintertown due to neighbor complaints, and then the 911 calls and the police reports for the Jasmine Vet building.
Okay.
Any other board comments or questions? Not, I would just need a motion to close the hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor by state and aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Public hearing adjourned at 6:40. I'd like to call the Township of North Huntington Board of Commissioners work session meeting for Thursday, November 13th, 2025 at 7 PM. Roll call, Manager Falk.
Commissioner Hempel,
Here.
Commissioner Atwood,
Here.
Commissioner Gray,
Here,
Commissioner Zona,
Here.
Commissioner Bevan,
Here.
Commissioner McHugh,
Here.
President Hagus.
Here, could everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If any residents would like to speak tonight, could you please sign the book at the podium? Thank you. Our first resident is Nick C. If you could come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Nick. I reside in North Huntington. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the board and fellow residents, before I begin my statement tonight, I want to ground this discussion where it belongs, in the Constitution of the United States, the very document every public official in this room swore an oath to uphold. Article 6 of that Constitution contains 3 simple but powerful principles. First, our government does not get to walk away from its obligations. Article 6 says that debts and responsibilities remain valid no matter who holds the office. That means institutions cannot dodge accountability because someone retires, resigns, or is transferred. The obligation stays with the government in itself, and in so, with the taxpayer. Second, the Constitution of the United States is the supreme law of the land. That means that no township policy, no local ordinance, no internal memo, no individual decision in this building can override the rights that that document gives the people. If a local law or local action is inconsistent with the Constitution wins every single time, and judges, state and local, are required to honor that. And third, every official, legislative, executive, and judicial, must swear an oath to support the Constitution. That includes law enforcement, the township manager, every commissioner here, and every public employee who exercises power. That oath is not ceremonial. It is not optional. It is binding. It is a contract with the people. It is the stand by which every decision made in this township must be measured. So when rights are violated, when transparency is withheld, when retaliation replaces accountability, it is not just a bad policy decision, it is a breach of the Constitution and a breach of the oath that each of you swore. I'm opening with Article 6 tonight because what we are discussing isn't personal, it isn't political, it is constitutional. And every single person in this room, myself included, is bound by that higher authority. Now, I will admit, I am shocked that this has gone globally. I am getting tons of messages from Australia, New Zealand, the entire world right now is having this problem. Nepal, they burnt Parliament to the ground and marched their officials through the streets. And it was the millennials, which is what I am. I can tell you the millennials are not playing this shit. We watched what you did to our grandparents. We watched what you did to our parents. I was in 6th grade when those towers came down. I was in 8th grade. I crossed the graduation stage as the housing market burst. I finally got a decent business put together for myself after overcoming my personal adversaries, and then here comes a pandemic. My generation's done. We're done. We're not playing. We don't want special treatment. We want our basic human rights to be acknowledged and respected. You threatened to have me arrested, Ron Zona. Now millions of people are watching a video where you went like this to me and told me to bring it on while I stood here at my podium at my town square. You, a public servant. We still have a chance to resolve this as a community. We still have a chance to not nationally and globally embarrass ourselves in our community. But I'm done playing with you guys. The only reason I have not filed a federal lawsuit is because I know my timelines, is because I don't want to take my neighbor's money. They're the ones going to pay for this. When I come through with a $60 million lawsuit, a RICO case with criminal charges attached to it, this township is going to go into state conservatorship. They will raise the taxes. Low income and seniors will be the first to go. You guys really underestimated me. And I asked you all at the very beginning, every time I spoke to any of you, I said the same thing. You don't know who I am. You don't know who I know. You don't know what my skill set is. You don't know my level of intelligence. I said, but that's okay. Just treat me and my family with dignity and respect. We will have no issues. But instead, you guys locked down on me. You refused to take my emails. You refused to take my calls. You shut off all lines of communication, all in bad faith. While I continued to persevere through the abuse and show up twice a month in good faith to the point of being unlawfully arrested, and it is not lost upon me that there are those within the power structure that fantasize about my death right now. I'm looking at bulletproof vests online because that's the reality of what is now happening in this community.
All right, Mr. Cross.
Yeah, I know, Zach. Shut the fuck up. I know. I'm done. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
But for the record, the First Amendment has no
Our,
time limit.
our next resident, Jerry, if you could come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jerry Labuscus. I live at Oakhurst Drive in North Huntingdon. I was sent up here to the podium by most of my neighbors that are standing behind me. If I'd ask the Oakhurst folks to stand up, please. There's a bunch of us. So I've got nothing prepared to read or anything like that. About 10 or 12 years ago, we faced an issue where there was going to be a development, I believe it was RWS, that was planning to develop behind St. Nikolai Road, which is adjacent to Oakhurst. Because of the layout of the land, they were proposing that the only access to that next development was going to be off of Oakhurst. So that, for whatever reason, that issue came and it went. Here we are 10 or 12 years later, and now we're starting to recognize that there are land markings suggesting that there is going to be another development put in there. We don't know what the size of the development is. We don't know really what to expect. So we're here mostly for fact-finding because those of us that built our homes originally in that plan, we did so because we were looking for a nice quiet street with dead ends and cul-de-sacs. And then to expand upon that with who knows how many homes might be put in there is going to put an incredible burden on the traffic on our street, which, like I said, we like the quiet streets. We also recognize that when our plan was built, we had to have a waiver for the hill. My understanding is that Oakhurst Drive is the steepest hill in North Huntingdon. I don't know if that's actually true, but I know that our fire department has had to do special planning and training to verify that their equipment and apparatus would function properly at the top of the hill. So we know and we recognize that there are issues with the topography of that area. To have a street turn out and onto Oakhurst right there, how they would do things like school buses and municipal trucks and salting, et cetera. If you've ever been on our street, drive up there. You're glad that you're in a car and not walking up that hill. So anyway, so we came here as a group of concerned citizens. We'd like to find out what is planned to be up there, and where we would actually go from here. We recognize that that land is owned by somebody and they have the right to develop it the way that they would like to, but we also are concerned about how it's going to impact our day-to-day lives. Just simple math will tell you if they put 20 homes in there and there's 2 cars for every home and everybody's leaving in the morning, that's nothing less than 80 additional cars driving past our homes. In addition to that, we already have some dangerous areas on our street, and some young kids that are playing out there have come close to being injured. So we have our issues, but so anyway, we're here as a fact finding. try to present our concerns to you. And anybody else from Oakhurst care to speak? I think there was a couple that may have signed the book right after me. Can I invite them up?
Yeah, I believe the next resident, I'll ask if anyone didn't get a chance to sign at the end, they can come up, but we
Okay.
have a few more residents that signed up.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Thank you.
That completes for me.
Our next resident, Steve. If you just want to come up to the podium, say your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Steve Bucklew. I live on 650 Oakhurst Drive, North Huntington, Pennsylvania. And just to add what Jerry may have not covered, he talked about the salting of the roads. And, you know, last year was we didn't have that much snow, but previous years, the salt truck could not go up our street forward. He had to back up he backs up that hill. That's because if there's already snow on the road, you know, he couldn't get a running start. So, I mean, that's a pretty dangerous situation if you're going to cut an access off of Oakhurst. And my understanding is there is an easement on Church Drive, and then there's also open lots on St. Nikolai. So, I think there's other access ways to develop on the property. And I did measure with a digital level. It's between 8 and 9% slope on that hill. That's all I have to add.
Great, thank you, sir.
Yep.
Our next resident is Mr. Cole. Just come up to the podium, say your name and address for the record, please.
Darren Cole, 606 Oakhurst Drive and 12320 Church Drive. I own two properties, and both properties are basically attached to the property that they're looking to develop. First off, when I bought it for the cul-de-sac, like everybody says. So to add on to that, I live at the top, and it is the steepest incline. From what I understand, Circleville Fire Hall does practice there. They practice accordingly to do what they need to do for their fire. It's a blind curve, as there is right now. Like I said, there's a lot of children in our plan that play in that plan, and it is dangerous when two cars are coming, let alone having the children down in the cul-de-sac down below. In the winter, like you said, trucks, we've seen the snowplow get up there backwards. In addition to that, they can't stop. It's hard to stop going down that hill, I'll be honest with you. Increased traffic, kids in the circle. I grew up in North Huntington, 56 years, played in that field, played in Daly's cornfield up there. It's the reason I bought up in that plan, is because of my passion for that area. So I'm familiar with that. I grew up on Church Drive too, is where my son lives currently, and I own his home. And right across from his home is the easement I think Steve was talking about there's two residents up there that is a paper alley that we used to ride our motorcycles up to get into that field up in Daly's field back in the day. So, in addition to that, you know, the Schuster's was looking to develop that years ago, and I understand that did not happen. So, I'm just here and support my fellow Oakhurst Township and residents, and to tell you why I feel that, you know, I'm in opposition of the proposed development off of Oakhurst Drive. I'm not sure. We don't know, like you said, we're looking for fact finding to see what they're looking to do and where they're looking to do it. Not even sure about that paper alley, if that exists off of Church, but that's right across my other residence. And thank you for your time, and thank you for everything you do for North Huntington.
Thank you, sir. Our last resident is Mr. Betis. You want to just come up to the podium and state your name and address for the record, please?
John Betis, 11957 McKee Road. Coming up here to just ask about McKee Road in general. I'd first like to thank Commissioner Atwood, Manager Falk, Commissioner Zona, and the other commissioners too that I've had other conversations with, and some of your predecessors for having open communication and talking to me about this over the past, 18 months, 2 years, however long it's been. I have had subsequent conversations with state representatives and both Senate and our local rep, and they're making me, or at least they communicate to me, that they feel that it's a township issue regarding that intersection at the corner of McKee and MacArthur, having to do with the park entrance being catty corner to my home that I live at. Mr. Atwood, you've been there before many times to see it. And I just, a couple of things. You guys have tried your best. I appreciate everything you've invested there. Unfortunately, my neighbors pretty much hate me because of the rumble strips, because unfortunately at night, when people can't read a speed limit sign, 60 miles an hour over a rumble strip, certainly 4 of them makes it awfully loud, so they're not big fans of me right now. But to go back to my original statement as to why I came here 2 years ago, is I do not want to be putting up a stop sign as a memorial to one of our residents' kids, family members, et cetera, grandparent. I just don't want to be there for it. My house is at the corner. My bay window, I can see it all day long. Kid traffic has increased. They have these new scooters now. They're going up and down with these half bikes, half scooter automated things. And they should obey the traffic, but our residents do go quickly on that road. And I feel it's unsafe to cross. When I take my daughter to the park, I get in a car and I drive across. It's a 100-yard walk, which we should be able to do easily without doing that. So in essence, with all the gas line work, et cetera, just wanted to know what the township is planning for the future, the road, construction, the paving, what the thoughts are, if we can reopen the discussion about putting up 2 stop signs and asking or waiting to see if PennDOT does something or says something to remove them formally, because then at least PennDOT's on the hook for whenever that memorial goes up. That's pretty much all I have. I'd like to thank you all, though, for constantly communicating with me. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Is any other residents would like to speak tonight? Did they get a chance to sign in? You come out to the podium, just state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, James Brown, not the singer. 1551 Rosewood Circle. My house is strategically situated where one side is Oakhurst and the other side is North Rosewood Circle. I'm probably the newest resident here within this group. I moved after living 30 years in Cranberry Township to North Huntington. I've been growing very fond and loving this community and continuing to meet folks and connecting. My neighbors have been extraordinary. I share their concern. And some time ago, I understand, perhaps not this commission, but a prior group of individuals, maybe some already including you, thought better of advancing that development. I implore you to reevaluate those data points to refresh your memory and your assessments at that point in time. I would also like to bring to your attention sort of a common sense approach to this. If you look at Oakhurst and the particular stretch of road in question, you will notice very, very quickly that particular stretch of road erodes at a significant faster rate in comparison to the remainder of the road. Any further development or altercations by granting an access road through Oakhurst into that will continue to accelerate water drainage. Water follows gravity, and gravity is going to pull it down. That particular stretch of Oakhurst from the bottom to the top is categorically significantly more eroded than any other section of Oakhurst. By increasing traffic and potentially impacting the environmental parameters in that region, I believe the township is opening itself up to, again, further rapid erosion of that particular stretch of road, which is not only going to impact driver safety, but children's safety. I was walking my grandchildren, and 2 of them fell as a result of tripping over broken pavement, in that particular stretch of road. I almost fell multiple times because as you're walking on it, the pavement is loose underneath, and as you're walking on it, and I understand the cost and the impact of maintaining roads throughout a township and a community, but to date, their fix has simply been tar it, cover it, and kick the can down. Eventually, it's going to reach a point where that's no longer a viable option. And so the increased traffic will obviously have a significant impact on that continued erosion, and I think will impact not only walkers, drivers, and everything in the least. So I would close with, I would ask this valuable and experienced commission, thank you for your time and your effort, but I would implore you to revisit the data points which led you to the conclusion of not proceeding with it in the past. And I suspect by continuing that analysis and review, you will likewise find the same outcome, which is that is not ideally the best suited approach to facilitate this particular program. I understand the balance between individual rights and township responsibilities and communities and so forth. So I would not trade a seat with any one of you in this endeavor. So with that, I bid you adieu. Thank you for your time, and I respect all that you do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else would like to speak tonight? Did they get a chance to sign the book at the podium? All right. Not seeing any responses to input. Nick spoke first. Any responses to Nick? And I believe the next few residents talked about what's on the planning and engineering topics, number 1. If the board's okay, we could address that at that time. And then the one resident, Mr. Batis, talked about the McKee Road. Manager Falk, I know, like Mr. Batis said, they are doing some gas line work. Are we plan on putting back our traffic calming measures after all that work's been completed?
Yes, we do plan on putting back those traffic measures, and we're going to look at additional traffic calming devices, such as possibly a speed table in that intersection, just to raise the intersection a little bit to try to help get the cars slowed down and see if that's viable. But when that paving is coming through, we're going to look back at all our options and look at the LTAP study from PennDOT that came through last year and see if there's anything else that we can do that we might have missed.
Do we know when that is going to be paved?
Mr. Robinson?
It all depends on the water authority. We were negotiating with the water authority, and we were hopeful that they were going to do their side this year, but they've become pretty silent. So we're hopeful that they'll get started early next year, and we can pave in the late summer or early fall. But if we don't get any type of commitment from them, we would like to pave in early spring. And if they come and disturb the pavement, then we would require them for the full width of their disturbance, 25 foot on each side, to pave it full width.
And just to add, Mr. Battis, I know from talking to you in the past, I know you had talked to Senator Kim Ward's office, and I reached out to them probably within the last month. They told me that they did investigate that, and they were putting together recommendations for the township, and I don't know if they had sent anything to us yet. Okay. I can reach back out to her office this week and see, she was putting recommendations together of different items that we could follow, so I'll reach back out this week and see if they can send us that.
Excuse me, President Haggis, Josh and I can address the concerns of the folks on Oakhurst.
Okay.
There may be some confusion or anything about this development. The existing subdivision tonight, is proposing 4 lots around the existing cul-de-sac on St. Nikolai. So the road is not going to be extended. Originally, you are correct, there was a master plan that showed a second phase on the upper portion, that upper acreage, but that was 20 plus years ago. In my understanding, the slopes were too great to actually put a road in, so the cut and fill just wouldn't work. There wasn't enough room there. So it is our understanding those 4 lots will be around the cul-de-sac, and then the residual, about 11 and a half acres, will be coming off of Oakhurst, but that was only to be potentially an estate lot, one single home with a private driveway coming off of Oakhurst. So there won't be a township street, there won't be additional traffic other than the 4 homes around the cul-de-sac that's already there on St. Nikolai. So yeah, the purple lot you see on the screen, that's the residual 11 and a half acres that will not be developed with a township road, will not be carved up into further lots that, like I said, potentially a one single-family lot, like an estate lot. If somebody wants a really private lot with a tricky driveway, have at it.
And if there was ever any type of development on that lot, more than one house, it's gonna have to come back through the planning commission and other public meetings, so you will be notified.
And Ryan, when you say potentially one house, there's no plans in, right now for any residents?
No, there's no building permits submitted or anything, or nothing like that. This is just creating the 4 lots along the cul-de-sac, and then basically that's just the remaining lot. But I understand that the current developer that's working with this land does not intend to put a road or anything there. Because again, it's so hard to be able to put a township road there, it's almost impossible topographically.
And not to harp on it, but can you explain to the residents those colored lots there and what, I mean, which ones are where the houses are going to be?
So the green lot, the reddish lot, the gray lot, and the yellow lot will be 4 single-family homes. And again, that's all around the existing pavement that's already St. Nikolai Drive. The blue lot behind there is the stormwater pond.
All right. And just a survey marker.
Either survey.
Because this is a surveyed document, it's gonna be recorded at the county courthouse. So surveyors will go out and put flags or pins just to mark the boundaries of that lot where it meets Oakhurst. Any other commissioners' response to citizen input? No. Work session discussion topics, Manager Falk.
Let me disconnect.
Okay, the 2026 budget discussion. As you know, you guys are responsible for setting the general fund, the light fund, the water fund, the fire service fund, the parks fund, the liquid fuels fund, and the capital reserve fund. And at the bottom of this slide, you can tell how each of those funds affect our general government, public safety, community development, public works, and parks and recreation. The light fund, these are the taxes that if you live near the street light, you do pay a tax to get that street light. That is balanced. We currently project the year end with $113,000 carryover, and we'll need a portion of that. We'll need $49,000 of that to carry us over to balance the budget for 2026, and we project we'll end the year balance with $64,000. So we continue to monitor that for any tax increases. Potential tax increases down the road, but we don't see any for 2026 for the light fund. For the water fund, this is the fire hydrant fund, so if you live near a fire hydrant, you do get a tax on that to maintain it and to pay the water bills. We project we'll end this year with $49,000. The budget, the 26 budget will be balanced, utilizing $3,600 of that carryover balance. And we project we'll end the year 2026 with $46,000. So again, we're still utilizing some of that money. Utilities are going up. That's why there's a large increase. You see it at $44,000 in 2024. We're at $48,000 so far in 2025, and we're predicting about $50,000 for the water service for the fire hydrants. So that budget is balanced without any increase in the fees. The fire service fund, this is allotment for our 7 fire departments. We do project to end the year with $47,500, and that's going to carry over to the following year and balance that budget. And each of the 7 fire departments will receive a disbursement of $81,814.29. That's projected for 2026. So that budget is balanced. That fund is balanced. The park funds, that might be kind of hard to read up there for the audience, but board has it in their packet. As you can see, our plan is to move the park funds out of the general fund and into the park fund to help make that sustainable, because the fee in lieu, as the developers go away, that money is going away. But we are doing excellent in our program fees and sponsorships, and we want to make sure that money is staying earmarked for the Parks Department. So what this Parks Fund, by transferring those items into the Parks Fund, allows for that. So that way, if we get a lot more than sponsorship money than we are spending for the programs, that money does not get commingled in the general fund. It stays in the Park Fund and used just for the park programs. And that budget is balanced. And we project to end the year with $27,290. And with the budget, we project we'll end the next year with $290. Those are just projections. And we still have the pickleball grant still out there. That's going to be wrapped up in the spring. Of course, over the summer, we expanded the lot or the court size. And they're going to come back in the spring when the weather breaks to do the paint, to paint the courts, and then we'll have a nice grand opening for the pickleball court. The liquid fuels fund, this is that liquid fuels tax that you pay at the gas pump. We use this for our road paving program every year. We project we'll end the year with $106,000 and carry us over, and we are earmarking $1.1 million for our roads. As you can see, we get notified of our allotment. That's our allotment for 2026, which is just a little over 1 million. It is dropping, and that's because the electric vehicle use. They're not filling up at the gas stations, so that gas money is not getting, or that gas tax not getting captured, and that's being reflected at the municipalities. But they did pass legislation a while back to, if you have an electric vehicle, you have to pay more for that registration, and hopefully we see that come back in our liquid fuels at a later date. The capital reserve. There's two options on there. The first one with the tax increase of 2 mills, and the second column that is green is if we implement a stormwater fee. As you could tell, down in towards the Public Works Department, if we had a tax increase of 2 mills, there's going to be that $800,000 will be earmarked for road improvements and capital projects, which would be stormwater projects. If we don't do a tax increase and implement a stormwater fee, that $800,000 is taken out of the capital reserve, and that would be moved into the stormwater fee. So as you can see, there would be no money left over for road improvement projects. We have a lot of roads that still need to be paved and maintained, and we will not have any money to do that with. We'll have to continue to rely on the liquid fuels fund to pave and maintain our roads. So some of the capital purchases that we're looking at with next year's budget that we need, if we don't get these, this will be carried over into 2027 budget. Of course, we're used to getting police vehicles, 3 of them, but now with the rising cost of the police vehicles, and the demand for the public works vehicles, we're only going to be getting 1 police vehicle for next year. Mr. Hoklinski needs some zero-turn mowers for the parks departments, trailers, a backhoe, and excavator to replace our very old aging fleet. These are some of the high-ticket items for a total of $387,000. So we'll have to look and see how we can spend that wisely. If we just buy 1 or 2 of these items. Maybe finance, I know the board doesn't like to, or we just hold off until 2027. So some of the major projects that we still have to do is the Haywood Road culvert replacement is $750,000. Stormwater retention ponds and stream bank stabilizations, about $800,000. The Roth Drive culvert replacement at $625,000. The McKee Road channel restoration at $200,000, and the Mahaffey Hill Road guide rail replacement at $180,000. These are some of those capital projects that we can do if there's a 2 mil tax increase in the capital reserve fund. If there is none, if there is no tax increase, these projects are going to be very hard to do. We can do a couple of these we can do a couple of these with the stormwater fee. And of course, Mr. Grabiak's stormwater project list of all the complaints that we have received. These are the majority of the complaints that are documented and that we have lined up ready to go to try to fix the complaints. So how do we get to this point? So the general fund, as you can see, it started to show a deficit in 2017. And in 2018 and 2019, it grew. And then 2020 through 2023 were COVID years. And we didn't have the deficits there because the prior manager cut back on spending because everything was shut down. And then we received the large amounts of COVID money, which kind of helped a lot to balance the budget. And then in 2024, we had a deficit of $101,000. In 2025, we have a balanced budget, but remember, we were pulling about $1.7 million or $1.4 million out of the general reserve to do a lot of the projects to get caught up on. Stormwater ponds, road improvement projects, which $400,000 of it was for road paving projects. And as you can see, the graph, from 2016 to 2020, our expenses were outpacing our revenues. COVID hit, which flipped, and then after COVID in 23, we were able to balance that out. So we're able to meet the revenues and the expenditures. We're able to stabilize it. Tax revenue history, you can see that all the taxes remain flat. The earned income tax is that top line that is green. It inflated after 2021, which has helped with the budget immensely. If we didn't have that extra $1 million+ coming in earned income tax, we would have raised taxes years ago, or we would have been asking to raise taxes years ago. Another contributing factor is wages. If you look in 2022, we had 95 employees at 6.5. In 2026, we're looking at 92 employees, and the wages are $7.5 million. So we have less employees, 3 less employees, but the wages are still going up. And health insurance, as you can see, health insurance, for the employees that have health insurance, we had 78 in 2023 compared to 2026, and that number for insurance premiums have increased by $400,000. Retirees has increased from 2023 to 2026 by almost $100,000. And these are fixed costs that we don't have any control over. In 2026, the millage was raised from 8.23 to 10.23, and the budget at that time was $9 million. In 2013, the millage was lowered from 10.23 to 9.23, and that budget was at $11.4 million. In 2026, we recommend a 1.5 mil increase for the general fund and 2 mils for the capital reserve fund. Since the millage was lowered, the township lost $5.6 million in revenue. So I present the board with 2 options tonight. Option 1 is the 1.5 mil tax increase that'll eliminate per capita tax. We'll transfer up to $30,000 from the reserve fund to balance the budget. Some of the differences is the engineering services that budgeted at $125,000, and this will generate an additional $550,000 in revenue. Option 2 is a 1 mil tax increase for the general fund. Implement a stormwater fee. We'll still have to transfer up to $53,000 from the reserve fund. Engineering services would be budgeted down to $25,000 because we can use the portion of that on the stormwater fee, and this will generate an additional $400,000 in revenue. So how does that look for the taxpayer? Option 1, the average assessed value house or property in North Huntington Township is $24,000. So option 1, with a 3.5 mil tax increase, eliminate the per capita tax, the resident will see a $74 a year tax increase. If we go with option 2 of increasing the millage by 1 mil, implementing a stormwater fee of $84 a year, that resident will see an increase of $108 a year. And of course, that flip-flops as the assessed value increases over the years, or as the assessed value increases. So a $50,000 assessed value house for option one increases by $165 a year, and a $50,000 assessed value on option two will be increased by $134. So by implementing a 3.5 mil tax increase versus the stormwater fee, it will cost the taxpayer less money a year. And we're still able to provide the vital services that the residents have come to know. So the tax increase, this is the 3.5 or the 1.5 mil tax increase for the general fund, will stabilize the general fund. As you can see, we peaked in 2022 and we started the downward trend, and we're going to stabilize it in 2026 with that tax increase. This is important because we do have that policy that we have to retain 25% in our general fund reserve compared to the revenues for that budget year. So this will help, this needs stabilized. So if there's a major incident, major damage, a storm that comes through, we have the funds necessary to make the appropriate repairs. So what does a stormwater fund budget looks like if we went with option two? We predict the first year in 2026, these are educated guesses of $1.2 million, and then in 2027, $1.8 million. In 2026, we're going to have to do a lot of work implementing that program. We have to draft ordinances. We're going to have to create some language in there for rebates. We're going to have to bill a third party, which is our authority for the billing, issue refunds, the capital projects, engineering cost, and the materials and supplies. And we might not want to do any projects in 2026 until we get this up and running, see what our cash flow is, any rebates that has to be put back or given back, and or any appeals. But also there's that outstanding court case out of Westchester that was challenged, whether this is a tax or a fee. So I'm not 100% sold on this just yet. It's a risk. The general fund revenue summary. This is showing that the 1.5 mil tax increase for the general fund. Even with the tax increase, we're lowering the overall revenue by 11%, just simply because we don't account for the grants, which we've received $455,000 in grant money this year alone, and the miscellaneous. Those are the transfers coming in from the general reserve fund. So we're not having those large amounts of money coming out of moving over from our savings account into the general fund to balance the budget. The 26 proposed budget expenditure summary remains relatively the same. The tax collector has been reduced by 41%, just simply because we took out the business gross receipts. So the tax collector will not get the commission off those business gross receipts. They'll be maxed out at the state at $10,000 for tax collection that the board also set. Engineering will be increased by 19%, emergency management by 51%, public works reduced by 30%. That's because we took a lot of that stormwater and road management, road programs out of the general fund and moved it into the capital reserve fund. Parks, the same, -12 or down 12%, because we moved a lot of that line items into the parks fund. So overall reduction of 11%. Again, with the 1.5 mil tax increase, out of the residents' total tax bill, we're only 8%, a sliver of the pie compared to the county and the school district. Only 8% of your total tax bill comes for roads, salt, our parks, and everything else that we do. So your budget timeline is in November. Next week's meeting, we'll have to advertise ordinances for the budget and tax levy, along with advertisement of the public inspection. By December's meeting, we'll have action to adopt the budget and a tax levy. During the month of January, following any municipal election, the Board of Commissioners may amend the budget and the tax levy and tax rate to conform with its amended budget. A period of 10 days, public inspection at the office of the Township Secretary of the proposed amended budget, after notice by the Township Secretary, to the effect is published once in a newspaper of general circulation, shall intervene between the proposed amendment budget and its adoption. An amended budget must be adopted by the Board of Commissioners on or before the 15th day in February. So because we'll have a reorg meeting in January, if the board decides to reopen the budget, we have to move quickly, and the board must adopt that new budget by the 15th day in February of 2026. Are there any questions?
Yes. A few slides ago, when you were showing the option 1 tax increase, and I'm referring to the narrative you gave us, you say a 1.5 mil tax increase is going to bring in $550,000 in revenue.
Correct.
Shouldn't that be $600,000? If 2 mils brings in 800 as listed below in the capital reserve, that should be general fund 600,000, and that would eliminate the borrowing from the savings account.
We're also removing the per capita tax,
Okay,
which is going to bring down our net revenue.
I see.
So
Okay. Under the option 2, let's see. Would we be budgeting for additional staff if we create the stormwater fee?
no, what we can do is take some of those salaries out of the general fund for those employees that are doing stormwater related projects. So if they're going out doing pipe jobs, catch basins, things like that, we can take that time that they've done working on those projects and bill it or charge it to the stormwater fund.
But I guess the question is, who's going to have time to do that?
Well, it would be up to Director Hoklinski. Whenever he does the time cards, he'd have to put like an asterisk or come up with some kind of system saying, 20 hours for this person, they did stormwater work. So it is extra work.
Okay.
And that is why the staff recommends the tax increase versus a stormwater fee, because if you look through your packet, the pros and cons, there's more pros for option 1, which is the tax increase, and a lot of cons for option 2, which is the cons is relying on reserve funds to continually balance the budget, is not sustainable long-term strategy, no additional funding for roads or capital projects, a new monthly fee on top of the per capita tax, additional staff work to process rebate applications for stormwater fee appeals, will require ordinances and agreements for implementation, will require third-party billing from an authority. This does not eliminate the per capita tax, and will require additional manpower and resources for collections, rebates, and inspections. Whereas the pros for option 1 is increase the revenue to match inflation numbers of fixed costs such as health benefits, pensions, insurance, and commodities, eliminates the per capita tax, allows the ability to create a 5-year capital plan and the flexibility to utilize funds for road improvements, stormwater projects, infrastructure improvements, equipment and vehicle purchases, and other capital projects. Utilize the reserve funds for projects or purchases, and no need to utilize the reserves to balance the budget. So we have that in the budget, but it's just to balance the budget. But we don't pull any money out of the reserves until the end of the year, because sometimes we'll get a nice surplus throughout the year. So that's our last ditch effort to balance to bring over money to balance so we can pay the bills and pay our employees.
Thank you.
Just removing the per capita tax is removing, what, is that approximately $65,000 a year?
It's 65, yes, and then for the delinquents, it's an average of about $15,000 to $20,000 a year for delinquents.
Okay, thanks.
And if you recall, if you remember, and the community remembers, we switched over from Berkheimer to Keystone. The school board stuck with Berkheimer, so that's why there's the confusion with the two bills. And this would eliminate the bill from the township. And it's a nuisance tax at the end of the day, you know.
Any other board discussion or a recommendation for Manager Falk for next month's meeting to advertise? Go ahead.
Manager Falk, are you going to be looking then for us to decide on where we're going to go, option 1 or 2 for next week?
Yes, I'm looking for the board to have a consensus if it's option 1 or option 2, so that way I can prepare the ordinances for advertisement and the motions for next week's meeting.
Now, under option 1, like how it says up on the screen, the 1.5 mil tax increase. The capital reserve fund's looking to go up 2 mils also, so the total would be a 3.5 mil.
Correct.
Tax increase.
Correct. This is, the top of the slide, the general fund. The general fund is 1.5 mil tax increase, and the capital reserve fund is a 2 mil tax increase for the capital projects. And you can, and the budget will show that $800,000 of additional revenue of the tax increase is being used for roads and stormwater projects. Because a lot of, there's hesitation with tax increases because no one really knows what the money is being used for. Here, we're showing what the money is being used for. With a 2 mil tax increase, it's going to be used for infrastructure improvements, such as roads or stormwater. The 1.5 mil tax increase for the general fund is to stabilize that fund because of the high cost of health care and pensions.
I do have a question. If we go with option 1, what would that do to our budget as far as the roads and things like that? Are we looking to do more than every year?
Yes, that gives us the flexibility to do more. We have, additional, $800,000. But if we don't have to buy some equipment that year, we could buy less equipment and move that money towards, more projects. And vice versa. If we only decide to do, we can earmark, $400,000 or $500,000 for roads. We can do a $100,000 stormwater fee or stormwater project pond, and then that remaining money we can use for some other projects or vehicles. It gives us that flexibility, and with that additional money, we can put together a 5-year plan. Right now, we just kind of shoot from the hip every year, see how much money we have, how much equipment we need, what can we get with $400,000, which is not much. As you can see, when we bought the street sweeper that one year, that was mostly the whole fund. So that wipes out that whole fund. That's why we we financed those large purchases, that gives us more money to do other things, either buy more equipment or do other projects. Like we replaced the roof, which was $70,000 one year. We did the ceiling tile replacement down in the police department, which was $55,000, $60,000. We replaced the roof next door at our building that's leased by the ambulance service. We're able to do some of those projects, but this gives us the flexibility and create a true capital improvement plan.
My question is the board going to have a different attitude about spending other people's money next year? And I indicated for a few meetings now that I was not happy about the garbage cans that we spent 50 or 60,000 for the parks, and the elaborate street signs that we're putting up saying entering North Huntington. And there were some other things in there, but I have difficulty voting for a tax increase when, in my opinion, we're spending money on unnecessary items. And I think at the last meeting, I asked the manager if anybody on the board had asked him to find cuts anywhere at any time. And I don't think the answer was yes. I mean, one of the other things that we're spending money on is uniform or not uniform allowance, which the police get, and but like vanity sportswear or clothing for employees that we don't necessarily have to do. So was there any way to cut anything to save money?
The major items that we would cut would be the projects. That's where we get the most cuts from. But everything else, if we were to cut things, it really wouldn't make a big dent. It would probably scratch the surface, but if you really want to cut, it's quite simple. No cutting or no paving roads, no stormwater projects, no catch basins, things like that. Those are the big ticket items that we would need to cut.
But we're frivolously spending other money. That's the point I'm trying to make. So, thank you.
I would say, when we started talking about the stormwater fee a good long time ago, it was intriguing and interesting, but I think the more we get into it, there's several things of concern to me, and one of them is that you raised, Manager Falk, was the lawsuit that's pending, and if that goes the wrong way, it could have effects on us. Maybe it doesn't, but it can, and if we start collecting that fee, and the Supreme Court rules that is not a fee and it's a tax, and we would probably have to give all that money back that we collected. So that is a concern for me there. From talking to a lot of people the last couple months in the community also, they don't like to hear another fee being put in, and I think that's very negative with the residents. Anybody that heard a fee had questions on it and why another fee, and there's another fee being added that's going to be raised up in the future. So yeah, I'm not really sold or really hip on that, on the stormwater fee.
I'm going to ditto what Commissioner Zona just said. I know, with me being out and about, and I've heard from constituents and residents in my area about that same instance, the fee. You're getting rid of the per capita nuisance tax, but you're adding a fee. It's like, So basically, yes, as Commissioner Zona stated, nobody wants to hear that fee word. And there again, you know, with the lawsuit out there, like Commissioner Zona just said again, I'm not repeating it, just the fact that I've heard from residents, you know, you're going to collect this fee and then have to give it back to us. So I'm going to just state myself, this is a very hard topic as an elected official, as we all are up here. This is very hard on all of us, but we're here to make tough decisions, and we're making these tough decisions for the betterment of our township. We've seen it, it's black and white. You know, we all know it costs money to do big things. And we need our roads paved, we need them salted, we need them taken care of, and it costs money. So it is a tough decision, but I'm gonna just tell you publicly, I'm gonna favor option one. It's gonna be less per resident. It's gonna give us what we're gonna need for all the capital improvements that we've just talked about, what we've previously talked about, and that's where I'm gonna go.
And to piggyback on what you just said there, Commissioner Hempel, I said it last month too. What worries me in the township right now is our infrastructure. I know we talk about it every month here. I mean, one of the gentlemen here said it about the roads crumbling. Drive around. My neighborhood's the same way. You're not alone in that. I mean, our roads a lot of them need work. And I think we're on like a 26-year plan to get roads paved every 26 years. And if you look at all the neighboring communities, it's a lot sooner than that. And then you saw the list of the major problems that we have as far as water runoff and culverts and everything. We got a lot of major work that needs done in this township. That's what scares me too, just a lot of the infrastructure that seems to be, whether we kicked the can down the road in the past, but a lot of that stuff is coming to roost and it needs attention.
I'd just like to add, just our milling and resurfacing program, road improvement program, we need about $1 million to hit 20-year life cycle. $1 million.
20
years. And it's very difficult for an asphalt pavement in western Pennsylvania to last 20 years. If you compare our neighbors, our neighbors get it, but for some reason, North Huntington doesn't get it. They properly fund our roads, at least more per mile per road than we do. Liquid fuels, as Harry said, is going down. Because of electric vehicles, we're going to get $47,000 less this year than last year. Our costs go up, but just inflation, 4%. We are at crisis level on the condition of our roads, and it looks like this year we're going to have funds to pave about 5 mills, which would be about a 32-year life cycle. That doesn't work. And like our guide rail system, our road condition of our roads, we're below average. Our guide rails, a very important life safety issue, we're probably a D minus, and that's a life safety issue. Drive up and down Mahaffey Hill Road, nice road, but take a look at that hillside. And that dilapidated guide rail, this improper height, doesn't have proper post spacing. What happens if a car goes over that hill? We need to be spending $150,000 to $200,000 a year just on guide rail, and not because Monroeville does something to we, but Monroeville spends $200,000 a year on guide rail. They have 110 miles of road. We have 160 miles of road, and our budget for guide rail is zero. So, and when I hear about, not doing projects, we have our MS4 program, our pollution reduction program. That's a federal permit that we need to meet. And if we don't keep up with that, there's embarrassing federal fines that goes along with it. So I hope don't even consider cutting projects and cutting our pollution reduction program that were mandated by the federal government.
I think at this point, I would be in favor of option one. I think that is it's not my favorite one, but I think it's what's in the best interest of the community.
I have 3.
Fran, do you have an opinion on the option?
I like option one.
Option one?
Yeah, I'm not in favor of the option two. Yeah, I don't want to see us create a new fee, tax, or however it's going to be described. And, you know, I think as we bring the money in, we should be able to spend it on where it's needed and not just focus like specifically for the stormwater.
Commissioner Gray?
I'm interested in hearing from you. What is your thoughts?
I think you called me out last meeting and said I used to always bring up other topics where it could save money, and I've always said that, and no one's really been supportive of me that, so I kind of got off my soapbox for that years ago. I do think there's ways we can save money, and not pointing back at you, I mean, I think saving $50,000 on trash cans, $20,000 or $30,000 on signs, does that help? Yes. But I think we're a first-class township. I think parks look nice with nice trash cans in them. Does a welcoming sign mean a whole lot to the township? Probably not. Is it a nice thing? Yeah. But ultimately, I don't think that if we put up all those little chunks of change, are just going to get us to not increasing taxes. No. Does it help eventually, years down the road, if that money adds up? Yes, it does, but I don't think it's going to mandate us not to raise taxes in some degree or fashion. I think if you were going to try to find ways to cut taxes or eliminate a tax or increase, you would have to do things like maybe Manager Falk said. You would have to look at their big ticket items, which is their staffing levels of any department, and our capital purchases or big projects, which I don't think anyone up here wants to do. I think we could be, like you said, maybe better stewards, but I don't think those small chunks of change are going to add up to a point that we don't have to increase taxes. I mean, you've been around longer than me. I've probably been around too long myself now. I've never increased taxes since I've been on the board. I've only lowered taxes. And I believe you could probably say the same, but actually you probably were on here, probably voted no for that original tax increase, but you were here for it.
No, I did.
And you voted probably no for it, if I would imagine.
No.
But
I didn't.
okay. But you did vote
I
to
was following the recommendation of the manager
Okay.
and then regretted it.
Yeah,
And that's when we
and
lowered
you and
it.
I decreased
Right.
taxes.
Right.
Once I got elected. So yeah, this is new territory for me, myself.
So I'm trying to figure out, are you in favor of option one?
Originally, I was kind of in favor of the stormwater fee because it was a dedicated fee that we had allotment for MS4. I know there would be a lot of hurdles to deal with that, with talking with staff and whatnot, just even create an ordinance in place and a tax structure to do that. But I thought that would be cleaner for us to deliver information to the federal organizations saying this is our MS4 fee basically. This is how we're allocating the money. And then, like Harry said, if we are doing piping and road, we can allocate some of the public work staff, and then maybe we pave that road. Well, once we open the road up to do some stormwater, try to tackle two things at one time. I still kind of in favor of the stormwater fee, but hearing the majority of the board kind of against it, and I understand the litigation, but I think the litigation was to do with a nonprofit organization that was a university in that district. It's nothing to do with a for-profit business or residential use. So I think the money in question would be a whole lot less. I mean, obviously, we'd be maybe talking about churches and schools. Outside of that, I don't think there would be anything that would be able to claim as nonprofit organization other than maybe than the fire departments or something of that nature. But I think we could do it if we wanted to. I don't think the board, obviously, as it stated, really hasn't been in favor for it. But I was interested in that option because it's a dedicated fee for stormwater projects that we can allocate that money to, and it's a whole separate account. I'm not in favor for creating a new tax by no means, but I think it's cleaner once we do that. If we do option one, yes, we will increase the millage rate for general reserve funds. And maybe you were alluding to that, or do we start tapping into that, buying something that we shouldn't buy in small chunks to deplete that money? I think if we would do option one, we have to have a dedicated amount, whether it be millage, number-wise, that we allocate to paving roads or to stormwater projects every year, that it's not just going to a capital reserve fund, that we say 3/4 of a mil is going to road paving, 3/4 of a mil, whatever those numbers might be, I'm just throwing that out there for sake of argument, would actually go towards stormwater or road surfacing projects. That's my opinion.
So the answer is you would prefer option two?
I am interested in option two with a stormwater fee, correct? And I know it would be a long process. We probably wouldn't see a stormwater fee. It would take staff time to create an ordinance and a policy and then work with the sewage authority to get that process rolling, which would probably be best maybe halfway through next year. So that money, I would say, be lost opportunity money that we would be getting. But obviously the money we would generate from that is actually a lot more than we would be doing from a 2% increase of the capital reserve fund.
If I can comment on the stormwater fee, I think I let Harry have one day at work here, his first day. On the second day, said 3 words, stormwater fee. And I've been very much a proponent. But at this time, I think that ship has sailed. And I think the best thing to do is the tax. If you want to do a stormwater fee, we need to get started earlier next year and get our ordinances in place. And if you want to give a tax reduction, if you do a stormwater fee next year, then do it then. But at this point in time, I think the stormwater fee has failed. But everybody that has instituted a stormwater fee, and I pay one, with this challenge in Westchester, nobody has blinked. And I don't think that is going to be a legal issue, but my 2 cents, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think that ship has sailed for this year. And if you want to consider next year, consider a little earlier and let us get our ducks in order. And then if you want to institute a stormwater fee, then reduce taxes a half a mil or a mil next year.
Manager Falk, you said you have the ability to project out the next 5 years with an option one. Are you able to get something together for us to look at?
I can, but it would be very vague. I mean, I can try by next Thursday or next Wednesday, but in my head, I'm projecting, just off the top of my head, 1 year, do $200,000 of guide rail, $200,000 for road improvements or road paving. That's 1 mil, $400,000, and then the other mil, $200,000 for stormwater supplies, and maybe that other $200,000 for, a new machine, a paving machine or something, that would give us more roads to pave. But I would have to sit down with Mr. Graviak and Mr. Hoklinski and get their inventory list of the vehicles that they need, because we're going to have $1.2 million that could be earmarked for, you know, for building improvements, vehicle purchases for the police department and public works department, our camera lease. We also have tasers in there for the following year that need to be purchased. Mowers, our road, AI road management software, which is gonna be $29,000 a year, that's gonna come out of this. All those help the general fund. So, yeah, it would, I can try, but there's no guarantee, but just off the top of my head, that's the flexibility that I look at. That it can change every year. One year, we can hit it heavy with guardrail, and then the next year, we can hit it heavy for road paving, you know, so.
Well, Mr. Gray, do you want to say anything, or you good not saying nothing at all?
I don't like either one.
That's what I figured. You're going for option 3 that doesn't exist. All right, Manager Falk, I believe you have some direction from the board, what to put on for next week's agenda.
Thank you. Yes, these are on our website. If you go under agendas, under meetings and agendas, you can see the documents that the commissioners have today. And then tomorrow, as we prepare the agenda for next week, those documents will be on our website as well.
And are they more granular than what was presented tonight?
Correct.
So I can look, for example, the reduction in staff at 11%, but the increase in healthcare is 41%. Looking at these various moves to see what's happening with the budget dollars and how they're shifting.
Yes. All right, moving on to item number 2, Public Works staffing. We do have a Public Works employee retiring in February. As you know, we just interviewed and hired 2 Public Works employees last month. There is one more on that list that we would like to offer a position to, and that one can start training or get hired next week if they do accept the position. And get in here by the end of the month or 1st of December to start training, and that'll give them about 2 or 3 month window for training, and then to replace the retired Public Works, the employee that's going to retire in February. If the board's okay with that, I'd like to extend a job offer tomorrow and put that on the agenda for next week.
Does that bring us up to full complement?
Be quite honest, I don't think we'll ever be up to full complement. I mean, with all the projects that we have, we can use a couple more employees, but the budget just doesn't allow with that. So our guys work very hard and diligently to get these projects completed, and they do their very best. But yeah, in reality, we could use a couple more, but we know that we're never going to get that. And we used to have more employees in the Public Works Department back in the day, from what I understand. So we've diminished through the years, so. All right, moving on to the upcoming board vacancies. The Planning Commission, James McHugh is no longer interested in serving. So next week, you'll have an action item to accept letters of interest for the Planning Commission. The Zoning Hearing Board, Alan Vento, his term is up and he is interested in serving another term. Commissioner Thomas Hempel serves on the NHTMA Board and he is interested in serving on another term. From the Western Westmoreland Municipal Authority, Charles Gilbert is no longer interested in serving, so you'll have an action item to accept letters of interest for that vacant position. And the Recreation Board, Paul Dingelman and Bob Morgan, they're both interested in serving another term. Are there any questions for that?
Yes. Do we have any vacancies available or no?
Yeah, the vacancies.
Does this fulfill some of the boards, or do we need more people?
No, you need more people. There'll be a vacancy on the Planning Commission and a vacancy on the WWMA.
Is that in addition to these 2? Or is that,
These are going to be these new vacancies.
Okay, so it's just these two, there's no other vacancies?
No other vacancies. Well, there are other vacancies, but these people are interested in renewing their term.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah, if the board wants to.
yeah, there's nothing beyond what is listed here, though.
No, not that we can find. No.
Okay.
All right, moving on to the LSA statewide grant for up to $1 million. The deadline to apply is November 31st. As you know, we would like to submit a grant application that we're currently working for up to $1 million for the Indian Lake Park Rehabilitation Project. You'll see a resolution for consideration at next week's meeting. Also, I received the letter of, the requesting for a letter of support from the WWMA. They are applying for an LSA grant for a lateral extension in Penn Township, but they're seeking a letter of support from the Board of Commissioners. That, after reviewing the project, I don't think that has any effect on the township, or has any bearing or improving anything in North Huntington Township. Is the board, do they want to, are you guys interested in offering a letter of support, or just let it go? And we can put it on next week's agenda. Whether if you want to offer a letter of support, we can put that on next week's agenda.
Have they reached out to Penn Township for a letter of support?
I would assume that they have, since it is in Penn Township.
Yeah. I think if it doesn't affect us, then it's really none of our concern.
Yeah, I'd agree also.
Okay. I think that's the consensus of the board. And also the LSA state grant, I have Chief Kuckenhauer here from Circleville. They would like to apply for an LSA grant, but they have to apply through the township. So, Chief, do you want to come up and speak to the board about your project? And again, we'll have to work on the grant application ourselves and submit it on their behalf. Similar to what we did a couple years ago for the VFW.
So our scope of the project is gonna be, our parking lot at the fire station is, anybody that drives not through there, you can go to our lot right now, and it's got water coming up through the lot. We take everything off of Robin Station Road. Our hillside, a few years back, it blew out down on, Mountain View. We had damages there that we had to get taken care of. But the scope of the project is gonna be taking care of the whole parking lot, drainage. We're gonna be a stormwater retention system, so environmental impact, we're gonna be trying to take care of that. The MS4, we hear that being brought up all the time. We're gonna take care of that there, because all that water runs off right down onto Mountain View. There's no storm drains, we have nothing in our parking lot. When it rains, we get water in the garage at times, so this will be a great upgrade for the department itself. And along with that, we're able to put in for our a roof for our building and facade to be done also at the same time with that LSA money. That's the scope of the project. Everything is done here. Manager Falk you only have part of it. I can send that off to you for the rest of the scope. We've already got our cost estimates. It's gonna be $1 million project at the end of the day with engineering and the total construction cost. Everything's done through an engineer firm for the cost estimate on the project. Any questions from you? I'd greatly like your support on moving forward with this. This will not take away from anything on the Indian Lake project. We are nonprofit in the application itself. There is a nonprofit section there, so that should not take away from anything from the township on that end. So, any questions on the scope of the project? It's anywhere from $25,000 to $1 million.
Right, thank you, Chief.
Okay, thank you.
So you'll see two resolutions next week, one for the Indian Lake grant application and one for the Circleville Fire Department grant application. Item number 5, a solar ordinance. The Board of Commissioners requested a amendment to the zoning ordinance to add regulations governing the solar energy. The Community Development Department has submitted a draft ordinance regulating solar energy, solar panels and wind energy. Are there any questions for this? Is there anything that you would like to see removed?
I have a question on letter D in that draft, which is titled Small Wind Energy Systems. It says small wind energy systems are permitted as accessory uses in residential districts and shall comply with the following requirements. Number 2 under that is a maximum height of 45 feet. That's pretty high for a residential area, a residential neighborhood. Are we sure we want, I mean, what is a small wind energy system? I don't even know what that is.
It's Director Andrikhovich.
Yeah, it's more or less just a windmill, a windmill that just generates power. 45 feet is something that was in one of the other ordinances that I pulled. I highlighted it here. I actually thought I changed that, but yeah, 45 feet is definitely high.
That's going to be like twice
That's
the
higher
the
than
height
the-
of a house.
Yeah,
Correct.
higher than most houses.
Yeah, that kind of had me concerned.
I do have
I
that
mean,
set
I don't have a
here.
problem with somebody having one of those in their yard, but I thought 45 was awful high for that.
Yeah, that is high. Yeah, our max accessory structure is 14 feet right now in our zoning ordinance, which is probably a little low, so it probably should be somewhere in between that.
Maybe 20 feet or
20
something,
feet,
or?
25, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I just have a concern with something like that being twice the size of a house in
Mhm.
residential areas.
Was 25 feet be okay for the board, or you want to reduce it more down to 20
I
feet?
mean, what's the average height of a house? I looked it up, it said like a 2-story house is maybe 24 feet, 25 feet.
Yeah, you're probably right with that estimate.
So we're talking, if we do 25 feet, we're talking like the height of a 2-story house. Yeah, I think that's okay. I hate to go too much higher than the house and have something that high overlooking other people's properties.
I agree with you guys, but how tall does it have to be to catch the wind? That's the thing. If you're going to
Yeah, well, that's a good
power
question.
by
Yeah.
the wind, you have to be
Yeah.
able to catch it.
Yeah, I debated whether to take the small wind out of it completely, but a lot of other places, they lump them together with the solar panels and the wind energy. So I figured, we can throw it in there, and if you don't like it, we'll toss it. But
I was glad Fran brought that up, because I was gonna mention the same thing. They probably have to be a little bit taller than your home roof, so maybe even 35 feet.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they do have to be taller than the roof though, because I could have something in my backyard where the wind's coming from the other way and it's still catching it doesn't necessarily mean it has to come over your house. I don't know.
But if you're dependent on it for water, you'd really like to know when you're going to get your water.
Was this 45 feet? I know you said it was in some other
It was, yeah.
Some
This is,
other municipality.
Yeah, this is, I went through a bunch of different
Yeah.
ordinances in this area and kind of made something that would relate to what we're looking for.
I mean, I could see in a more rural area where farmlands or something having it 45 feet. I can see that, but I just some of our neighborhoods here that are the yards are pretty close. I would just
Yeah.
I don't know what a good size is. I just think 45 is way too much.
Yeah, we could do a little more research on that, I guess, to see.
That's good.
Yeah, what else we can come up with.
If the board is okay with this draft and amending the 45 to 25, we can have a motion next week to advertise this ordinance.
That's good.
why are we rushing it? Can we do more research and?
Sure,
talk
absolutely. We
about
were
it
under the
more?
impression that the board wanted this because of the uptick in solar farms.
Yeah, I see that, but, yeah.
We
Sure, if
want to
you-
get it,
we
we
could-
want to get it right the first time, I
Right.
think.
We
yeah.
can revisit this again next
Yeah.
month.
Yeah, one more thing for the board. This draft references decibel levels, and we've had noise ordinances in the past where we had decibel levels in there, but we have no decibel meter, and we still have no decibel meter. So the ambiguous noise ordinance, always falls to the police department. So I would personally take out any mention of decibels in here. Just my opinion.
I agree. It might sound like rumble strips.
All right. Well, if anyone has any other comments after reviewing the proposed ordinance, just reply to Manager Falk and Assistant Manager Fonzie, and we can make those adjustments and bring them back to the board for next month's meeting.
Thank you. Item number 6, islands in the roadway. I will turn this over to Director Hoklinski.
In Franklin Farms and on Drop Road, we have landscaping in the center of the roadway. I asked years ago when I was a truck driver, as much as I like landscaping, the stuff in Franklin Farms, I wanted to remove it. And I was told it was for traffic calming. Doesn't make much sense. It's causing us a lot of grief maintenance-wise, and we're starting to get a lot of complaints, work orders. The residents don't seem interested in taking care of anything themselves, which I understand. The township put it in there, required a developer. So it falls on us. But based on the complaints that have been coming in, especially this year, I recommend that we remove them and just pave the area. And when we do resurface the road, such as in Franklin Farms, I would advise we don't do what we've done in the past. In the past, we've gone through housing plans where it was a cul-de-sac and we added on. And now you have a roadway that goes up and the roadway flares out in the middle where the cul-de-sac used to be, and the road just goes on. So my recommendation would be we remove, such as the ones in Franklin Farms, remove them, and then when we resurface the roads there in the future, we straighten everything out. It's not severe there like it was a cul-de-sac, it's just a minor outkick. But I would recommend that we then help the people get their driveway aprons back down in line with the straight roadway. But they're just a maintenance nightmare, pretty much for us. And in the wintertime, something as dumb as driving the salt truck, you have to go around it and back up and salt the other side of the road and carry on. The one on Drop Road, it's nice, but it's a nice thought, but it's just not practical. We could open up that whole cul-de-sac on Drop. We could just eliminate it, and we could pave the center of that ourselves. So it's my recommendation we remove them. I'm just looking to get a feel from the board. And I think all 3 islands are in Commissioner Atwood's ward.
Who maintains the landscaping in those?
We attempt to, when we have available. I did it for years, but it's with the current level of work we have and staffing levels, it's kind of hard to get somebody out there just to do that. We made an attempt when we installed them. We put fabric down and we tried different things to mitigate weeds, but it's just they've become overrun. It's a couple of the residents' work orders, and I understand they say they're an eyesore. Sometimes they become that with the weeds. We get out there a couple times a year when we can, but they don't serve much purpose.
Do we have any of them that the neighbors in the area do the upkeep on them?
In Franklin Farms, it seemed like the lower island, the residents were trying to keep up with it, and I think someone said that somebody got sick or something, and but no, they mainly look to us to maintain them.
And Drop Road would be part of the McKee Road project, so if we take that out, we would actually pave that, next year.
I get lots of complaints from Franklin Farms about this. That is normally the number one thing that they complain about. So I would be very much in favor of getting rid of those.
Do they complain that there's an island in the middle of the road, or do they complain about the upkeep on them?
They complain about the upkeep. They complain that sometimes it gets overgrown and hangs out onto the road. It's an eyesore. You can get animals living in there. It's just not something I would want in my neighborhood, and they don't want it in their neighborhood. The one on Drop Road, I have not gotten any complaints about, but I can see where they're looking to do the same there. I can imagine it's significantly bigger than the other two, or the other ones over in Franklin Farms. But I can imagine that's a lot of upkeep as well.
That being said, I'm sure that there'll be residents that are happy they're gone, and I'm sure there'll be residents that will not be happy. I'm just looking for maintenance and practicality.
I'm comfortable with eliminating them. Only thing you mentioned about the ones in Franklin Farms, to try to make the road straight without like it being bumped out, which I'm okay with, but only concern I would be was with residents with their driveways already established the way they are. So I'm in favor for eliminating them, but I would kind of want to say keep the bump out just for the state of that's the way it is now. But I don't want to go in and disturb people's driveways, and we're worried about putting concrete down or whatnot, just to keep the bump out the way it is. I know it might not be practical, but I think there's other neighborhoods that do have them.
Right, I agree with you, and I think that would be up to the engineers
Yeah.
to lay it out at the time and see if it's something as minor as extending their apron, which I think could work there, but we'll have to have the guys that do that type of work tell us what they think.
I think you got some direction, Manager Falk?
Okay. That is all I have.
All right, planning and engineering topics. Director Andrew Kovich.
Couple items from the planning commission this month. Item number 1, S-22-2025, St. Nikolai subdivision. This is the proposed subdivision located at the end of St. Nikolai Drive. Jake Petra of JP Land Holdings LLC is the applicant and currently has the property under contract to be purchased. The purpose of this subdivision to create 4 new lots out of the existing 15.37 acre parcel, along with adjusting the lot lines between 3 adjacent lots, all under the same ownership. The subdivision would create Lot 1, 0.583 acres, which is shaded in green. Lot 2, 1.01 acres, shaded in, I guess you can call that red. Lot 3, 2.017 acres, shaded in gray. And Lot 4, 0.616 acres, shaded in yellow. The remaining 11.477 acres, shaded in purple, would remain on a residual parcel for future access off of Oakhurst Drive. The stormwater pond will be dedicated to the township once the subdivision is complete. All of the newly created lots will meet the minimum dimensional requirements in an R2 zoning district. At the November 3rd meeting, the Planning Commission recommended this plan for approval, 7-0, with a condition of sewage planning approval from the PADEP. We quickly discussed this in the beginning. Is there any more questions from the board on this one? All of the house lots, again, are going to be off of the cul-de-sac on St. Nikolai Drive, and the residual lot will be a future single home. If it's more than that, it's going to have to come through again for through the Planning Commission and Board subdivision.
If you don't mind, I'd like to run through a couple things. So, thank you, Mr. Fonzie, for clarifying that for them. I would also like to show there will be no housing development off of St. Nikolai Drive, no 20 houses, 30 houses. Schuster's did look at that like 8 years ago. I've seen the plans, I've ran the numbers, it doesn't make sense to do. That purple lot will remain a single-family house lot, 1 driveway off St. Nikolai Drive, no issue there. The other great benefit to this plan. So in like 2015, the St. Nikolai Drive, St. George Acres plan was wrapped up. For whatever reason, the road and the stormwater system was never given to the township. The bid bond, or the bond expired, and the developer's agreement kind of fell through. The road never got paved, the pond never got upgraded, and after cameraing a lot of things, we found there's about $75,000 worth of damage in the stormwater system. The deal that we made with the current landowner, we are going to enter into a new developer's agreement with North Huntington, and with this approval, we are going to we're going to update the stormwater pond, give that over to North Huntington. We're going to fix the damaged stormwater system, and we're also going to final pave St. Nikolai Drive when we are done. That'll be part of the agreement. So it's not only a benefit to me, it's a benefit to the township, because that stuff isn't done. And the only way that North Huntington would probably try to get that accomplished is to sue the old owners, and a couple of them are dead, so it would probably be a struggle. So it's a win-win, and there's no development coming off of, Oakhurst. So, questions?
Thanks.
Thank you.
Josh, real quick, can you go back to, on the green, see how there's like a little flag that goes up and around on the right-hand side there?
Yeah.
That's not in the second picture?
Okay, yeah, there is that should go down below. There is a little residual piece that goes down below on the bend on Oakhurst down there.
So that little flag there on the right is gonna stay
With the
as part of the
residual-
purple
residual
on the
parts.
next side?
Yeah, that actual little flag there is within the right-of-way on St. Nikolai. It actually goes down to Lincoln Way, but through the subdivision, Mr. Petra is going to dedicate that to the township so that there's a consistent 50-foot right-of-way on St. Nikolai Drive. So that's kind of the stub that's left over, and it's going to be joined to the larger residual parcel, but it also gives them the required frontage they need on Oakhurst for a private driveway.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Thanks.
All right. Second item, S-2023 of 2025, the Friedhoff Dick Plan. This is a proposed boundary line revision located off of Armstrong Street. Kenneth and Janet Dick of 1300 Armstrong Street are the applicants and the recipients of .018 acres from the neighboring property owned by Eric Friedhoff. After the boundary line revision, the Dick property will be 1.01 acres, and the Friedhoff property will be .023 acres, both meet the minimum dimensional requirements in an R1 zoning district. Boundary line revision will not negatively impact any of the setbacks on any of the structures. The November 3rd meeting, the Planning Commission recommended this plan for approval with 7-0 with no conditions. So essentially, you see here the Lot 1, which is shaded in light yellow, is receiving the dark shaded yellow from the neighboring property on Lot 2 on the plan. It cleans up the property line around the house on the Dick property. So, any questions with this? Moving on to item number 3, S-24 2025 Nicholas Costa Lot Line Revision. This is a boundary line revision located off of Kiefer Lane. Nicholas Costa is the applicant and owner of both 7711 Kiefer Lane and the rear vacant lot. The purpose of the boundary line revision is to add parcel A, which is shaded in light yellow, to 7711 Kiefer Lane from his adjacent lot. This would increase 7711 Kiefer Lane to 1.048 acres and decrease the existing vacant lot to 1.562 acres. Both lots still meet the minimum dimensional requirements in an R3 zoning district. The November 3rd meeting, the Planning Commission recommended this plan for approval 7-0 with no conditions. Are there any questions with this one? No. Okay. Moving on, Site Plan 21 of 2025, the Guardian Storage Site Plan. This is a major land development located off of Rhonda Court at the former Express Scripts property. Guardian Storage is proposing modifications to the existing 71,185 square foot building, and proposing an additional 37,627 square feet of storage space for all for commercial use. 2 proposed loading docks are being constructed adjacent to the existing building. The November 3rd meeting, the Planning Commission recommended this plan for approval by a vote of 7-0 with the following conditions. Stormwater management erosion plans and NPDES permit must be approved by the Westmoreland Conservation District. Number 2, stormwater O&M agreement with the township must be signed and recorded. Number 3, applicant shall enter into commercial developers agreement with the township. And number 4, outstanding engineering comments from the KU review letter dated 10/14 of '25. Were there any comments or questions with this plan? Anybody? No? Okay, moving on. Site Plan 22 of 2025, Somerset Trust Site Plan. This is a minor land development located at the top of Jacktown Hill between State Route 30 and Center Highway. Property owner Gary Pershel is leasing the 2,300 square foot commercial building to Somerset Trust for a new bank location. The previous use of this property was also a bank. The building footprint will remain the same, other than a small vestibule at the building entrance. Traffic flow around the building will be changing slightly. 2 of the 4 highway access points will be eliminated, allowing for smoother vehicular access around the building. The November 3rd meeting, the Planning Commission recommended this plan for approval by a vote of 7-0 with the following conditions. 1, the stormwater management erosion control plans and NPDES permit must be approved by Westmoreland Conservation District. Number 2, stormwater O&M agreement with the township must be signed and recorded. Number 3, the applicant shall enter into commercial developers agreement with the township. And number 4, the outstanding engineering comment from the KU review letter dated 10/21/25. Are there any questions with this plan? Again, this one's not changing much with the building. It's more or less traffic pattern and parking, eliminating the two entrances and exits, which is going to make it actually easier to flow.
Any questions on that one?
Commissioners, if I may, I'd like to recognize Josh for 12 and a half years of service to this township, dedicated to the community. I'm going to miss you personally and professionally, and I wish you the best in your next endeavor.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I was going to say,
Thank you, everybody.
again, thank you, Josh, and good luck
Yep.
on your next endeavors.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Any further board comments? If not, I just need a motion.
Motion to adjourn? Second.
Discussion. All those in favor by state and aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Meeting adjourned at 8:47. Executive session to follow, talk about personnel matters.
Pretty quiet over there.
We did it.
Come on, get it out here.
Every time I thought of something, Bob was on top of it.
$84 annual. I'm not bashful.
Good job, guys. Good job.
Thank you.
Thanks.